That's the Atlanta Rhythm section. It's 29 past 11 by Health this hour. We have got Madonna and a very special guest, so I'll just hand back over to them because we're talking about a very important thing which I don't think a lot of people realise probably happens as much as it does.
Yeah. So we're talking about bullying with Alice today, and she's been in a bit of a workplace situation for several years where it's been really impacting on her health, her joints, her thyroid, her mental state. And we were chatting during the break about the triangle of bullying. You know, so you've seen yourself within that triangle, Alice?
Some of the work that I've done with counsellors, so the psychologist at the moment, there's a triangle, so the three different roles that are played in there, there's the rescuer, there's the victim, and there's the persecutor.
Yes.
And it links into narcissistic parents and things like that, so it's good to see it, like, to be able to identify it within the workplace, within the family group, within your friendship groups, I guess, even.
Yeah.
So, and you do change from one role to another depending on your interaction with the other people.
Right.
Or you can predominantly sit in one particular position.
So, given it's a triangle, does that mean that at times in your life you have been the bully?
Not that I can identify as yet.
So you're more the other two.
Yeah. So with the three positions, predominantly I would play the rescuer.
Right. So trying to fix things, trying to help people, trying to
and because that is one of the major modes of operation for me, that my inclination, I've always been in a people person orientated role. It just comes naturally to me, and it has been to my disadvantage to some extent, because when you encounter these other people, they very quickly sum you up as that type of person, and then they milk it for whatever they can get.
Right.
And they keep you locked in a particular role, and depending on how bad it gets, like they often swap between the role of persecutor and victim to control what you do. So they either keep you in the rescuing role.
So they pretend they're the victim, or they play the victim so that you then become the
rescuer.
And then that's tricky.
You rescue them, but that's not what they want, so then they get angry with you, so then they persecute you, and so then you become the victim.
Huh. Okay, so we've also chatted in the past about the fact that you were sort of groomed for this since childhood. So you weren't bullied as a child, but you did have...
Yeah, that's interesting. I did think back over that. As a child, no, I wasn't bullied. I had lots of friendship groups and got on really well with everyone. And again, that people-orientated person, that's who I've always been, someone who's willing to help and whatever. Certainly not a saint, but yeah, that is a natural inclination. So no, childhood was fine. Loved school. And, that was a safe haven for me. I really enjoyed it. But within the family scenario, if you've got a narcissist in the family, you are well and truly groomed in every possible way. And I think, like from some of my own research, I've also looked into adverse childhood experiences, and it's very well documented. And if you have a large number of those, sadly, you're always going to become the sick adult.
So do you remember what some of those things on the list are, the adverse child experiences that predispose people to...
Oh yeah, if there's domestic violence, obviously if there's rape or anything of a sexual nature, anything where you've been deprived in that way, and you've suffered the death of somebody, so a severe loss. That loss could even be loss of home, so if you've become homeless, something like that, that it's the same effect. And studies have shown now that if you've had a number of those things in your childhood, even watching a movie where there's violence, you can be affected by it, even though you're not actually participating in the trauma, but you're watching it. And that can actually further exacerbate the situation.
Yeah. So you had, so there were 10 on the list, and you had you had lots.
I had all 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So therefore your body's in that space where really the trauma has been laid down early on in life. Is this sort of how you're seeing it energetically? The trauma's been laid down, and now your body is manifesting health issues that are repercussions.
Because that trauma, to a large extent, even though I've done lots of counselling and things like that, it hasn't really been addressed. It hasn't been released. I need to release it so that I can get well. And so earlier on, like associated with all those childhood experiences, because they're adverse in nature, you don't talk about them. So you
Right.
you weren't the normal family, and you know people would think you were strange, and they wouldn't like you, and they wouldn't want to have anything to do with you because you'd go to school with bruises and whatever. So who'd want to come home if they were fearful that they were going to be thrown off the balcony as well?
Right. So I imagine having narcissists in your family, they're not the sort of people who you can chat about and say, well, do you know when I was 10 years old this happened and, you know, you made me feel like that.
No, well, a narcissist denies it.
Yeah.
They have a completely different memory of it. It was all how you did terrible things to them.
Yeah.
You were a terrible child.
And I think, you know, there's a real difference between shame and blame that we've chatted about in the past. So when you have these things happen to you, like have you felt guilty about your childhood or shame?
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, that's some of the study I've done as well. Shame, my understanding of shame was very wrong. I think I was confusing shame and guilt.
Right.
And they're not one and the same thing. Shame is something that you're exposed to. So, yeah, groomed as a child to always be ashamed, to always accept the blame because you're the outcast, you're the scapegoat, you're the reason why that parent's life is so terrible.
Right.
So, yeah.
And guilt is...
Guilt is, well, if you have actually done something wrong. And I don't have an issue with that because I'll be the first one to admit if I've done something wrong, and what my urge is that I need to fix it.
Right. So it must be strange at work when you're being made to feel like you should feel guilty for, you know, something in your personality or something you've done or something they're saying you've done that you haven't done. And you go, hang on, I didn't actually do that.
Yes, and I ask for, you know, verification or an example, and you just get cut dead, and you sit there and go, well, that doesn't even let me speak to the situation.
Right.
Whether you like me or not, I do have human rights.
Yes.
Can we talk about this as adults? And of course the answer is no, no discussion.
And is that part of the bullying at work as well, not being able to sort things through, not being able to sit down and talk about it, not being able to...
Never given the opportunity. No one ever comes to you and has an adult-to-adult conversation. What they do is they escalate it straight away to management, whose perception of you is not correct.
Yes.
And they don't even want to hear your side. You know, how can you solve a problem if you don't even hear both sides of the situation? One is taken as gospel, and it's all done behind your back, and then you get dragged to a meeting that you had no forewarning of.
Yeah.
And you get beaten, basically.
Yeah. So Paul J and I sort of last week, we sort of put out a challenge to bullies to sort of really think about yourselves, think about what you're doing to other human beings, look at what might be going on in your own life that really makes you that bully. So why is something so dreadful that the only benefit you get in your world is putting someone else down? What is going on there?
I think they should also be aware that what if the whole situation was reversed?
Yeah.
How would they like it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll bet they wouldn't. No.
They wouldn't. No.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do it to them either.
So there you go, bosses.
No.
Have a think about that one over the weekend.
Yeah. So we might have a quick break and then we'll come back in and chat about treatments that you have tried that, once again, if you had the financial ability to do it, where you think you would be able to start reversing your health and really take control and get back on track.
Yep.
Thanks, Alice.
Yeah, good idea. All right, back very, very shortly.